Jane, thank you so much for joining us today. Let's go ahead and get started.
Well, thank you, Erin, for that introduction. It is certainly my privilege to be here today and chat with people about a very important issue of compassion fatigue. The introduction, we were chatting prior to going live. I'm sure you learned more about me than you ever imagined or that you wanted to know, but part of that background I think is important to some of the stories that I will share with you today about compassion fatigue. As Erin mentioned, I'm an educational consultant, and so I spend my time traveling around the country now speaking, writing, and listening about the issues associated with aging, illness, and end-of-life care. And in all of the discussions with people that I meet in various classes and in different organizations, this issue of compassion fatigue is one of great importance. So today, when we talk about when it hurts to care, this is basically recognizing something that we are all at risk of experiencing as professional and personal caregivers alike. I have a tremendous passion, obviously, having worked in hospice, in end-of-life care. I worked as a chaplain and an educator in palliative care, but I think the roots of my concern about this issue go to a more personal level because I started out as a caregiver when I was 15 years old, caring for my mom who had terminal cancer. So when I'm making any comments around compassion fatigue, although I know everyone who is tuned in today is a certified senior advisor, you serve in a variety of different realms in companioning seniors, these comments are beneficial not only for the professional caregiver, they are certainly of great importance for the family caregiver as well. And so today, the learning objectives that we have are going to explore the journey of witnessing, because I think that is really what we are called to do first and foremost when we are working with our seniors and their families. We are witnessing their journey, and oftentimes it is a difficult journey indeed. So we need to understand what that is like for us, what we will actually see, and what we are called to do in many instances. In that process, we need to appreciate the risk of witnessing, because we have to understand that although we will experience loss vicariously through our seniors, it is going to affect us, and we need to be aware of the risk of that. Thirdly, I want to share with you a story, and it is a fable of the bridge. Now, you will probably forget my name, you will forget this topic, but I will almost guarantee you will remember the story that I read you that has to do with making sure that we establish appropriate boundaries with the seniors and their families that we serve, and understanding that need for a professional boundary in light of this issue of compassion fatigue. And then finally, we're going to recognize the importance of self-care. I know that the work that you do is predicated on your desire to serve in meaningful ways, and that you are at your essence and your core a compassionate being. And oftentimes when we are the helper types, our needs always fall to the bottom of the list. And although this is the last bullet point on this particular slide, just know that self-care is of primary importance for all of you. Because the final statement that I will make to you, if you do not care for yourself, you will not be able to care for others. So let's begin by looking at this role of witnessing. We are going to witness a variety of changes and subsequent losses, associated losses, in the lives of the seniors and their families that we serve. We need to be prepared for what that might look like. Now, I think we are obviously going to witness losses and changes in the health of our seniors. In the certification process and the classes that we teach nationally, we spend a great deal of time talking about the physical losses, and those are going to be a normal part of the aging process. Now, when we have illness that enters into the system, that accelerates the aging process. And some of these outward changes are the most obvious, such as, for example, if you have a gentleman who has experienced a massive stroke, you will see a rapid change from being able to ambulate freely to someone who is now dependent on an assisted device, such as a wheelchair or a walker. That is a huge loss and a huge change in their life that will have a ripple effect throughout the family system as they accommodate that change. We also witness cognitive losses. We emphasize what a challenge this is for an individual, a family, and also our society as we start to see an increase in the incidence of the diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease. These are incremental losses, and it's a very long journey, and it has been documented through the lived experience and also by research that this is the most arduous caregiving journey there is. And so as a professional, we will witness that, and we will also experience family members who are witnessing those incremental changes as well. Now, the changes and the losses associated with the physical and the cognitive changes oftentimes will have an associated change in role within a family system. So, for example, if you have Mr. Jones who has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, as the illness progresses, his role in that family system will change. If he has always been the decision maker and the patriarch, as that illness compromises his capacity and competence, that role will be handed off to someone else in the family. It will be assumed by someone else. We see the role reversals of adult and child. And in the journey of aging, we also see the tremendous role change of an intimate role of wife, husband, or even a child into that of caregiver. Now, it's not to say caregiving is a role that we should not embrace. It's just to understand we don't want to relinquish our intimate roles because we now assume a different